What if I told you that upgrading your car, your apartment, or even just your daily coffee could quietly cost you millions over your lifetime? Well, that is something I truly believe in, and it is something I've struggled with a lot personally. Today, I want to break down something called lifestyle creep, how it sneaks up on you, why it feels so normal, and how it can subtly sabotage, even truly ruin, your long-term financial freedom. For those of you who might be new here, I talk a lot about building wealth intentionally and really realistically. I always focus on sharing my own financial journey, especially the missteps. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes without having to make them yourselves. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that has hit me hard, one I've struggled with significantly in the past, and honestly still sometimes struggle with. I want to explain what lifestyle creep is, and then give you some real-world examples of how I've messed up. I'll even share some real numbers to illustrate where I could have been financially if I hadn't fallen prey to this insidious trap. So for those of you who aren't familiar, lifestyle creep is what happens when you start earning more money. Maybe it is a raise, a promotion, or a new job. Instead of investing that extra new money, you start spending more, you might get a nicer apartment, buy new clothes, eat out more frequently, upgrade your phone, upgrade your car, and so on. It is not necessarily about spending money in and of itself. It is really about letting your spending rise faster than your income can actually afford you. The worst part is that so many of us tell ourselves we deserve it. We've worked hard, so we convince ourselves I can afford this right now, but that mindset I've found will slowly trade your future freedom for comfort right now. Now, I really don't want you to get this misconstrued. I absolutely 100% believe in paying yourself first. If you get a raise or a promotion and you want to buy yourself something nice, or treat yourself to a nice dinner, that is perfectly fine. I love watches, for example. I always tell myself when I get promoted, I'll buy myself a nice watch, and that is okay. One thoughtful purchase is completely fine. The danger comes from slowly upgrading absolutely everything around you when your income can truly support those new realities in a sustainable way. I wanted to give you a few real-world examples. I'll start with a general scenario, and then I'll share two specific examples where I personally messed up significantly. So to keep things simple, let's just imagine for a moment you are making $70,000 a year. I wish I made that much. I am more in the $30,000 range right now, but let's use $70,000 for this example. Then you get a raise to $85,000. That is a $15,000 raise, which is fantastic. But instead of saving and investing that $15,000 difference, you decide to go buy a new car or get a new couch or maybe move into a more expensive apartment. You start going out more, eating out 3 times a week. It feels totally normal, right? Everyone else around you seems to be doing it. Your colleagues at the office are doing it. It just feels like the natural progression. But let's zoom out for a second and think about the long-term impact. If we invested just $500 a month from that raise into an index fund, something like VU, which has historically returned an average of 8% a year, here's what happens. After 10 years, you'd have approximately $91,000. After 20 years, that number grows to $275,000, and after 30 years, you'd have over $680,000. That is almost $700,000, simply by keeping your lifestyle relatively similar and investing the rest. This, of course, is much easier said than done. I can tell you from personal experience, I struggled with this a lot, and honestly, I still do sometimes. For me, when I was working my full-time job, my biggest vice was cars. Everyone around me loved cars, I still love cars, and I was really deeply involved in the car scene. So here is what happened. When I got my first promotion to full-time, transitioning from part-time, I was driving a 2016 Hyundai Veloster. Immediately, I wanted something cooler, faster, more fun, so I started looking for cars and I ended up getting a 2017 Subaru WRX. After taxes and everything, I think I paid around $26,000 for it. I financed it for 7 years and my monthly payment was $443. This was around 2018. I felt like the coolest kid on the block. I was 18 years old, driving a Subaru WRX, and then I wanted to upgrade it further. I can't give you the exact total right now, but if I add up the cost of the tuning, the wheels I got, the cosmetic modifications, the carbon fiber parts, the bucket seats, I went full-blown with this car. I probably put around $12,000 into that car from start to finish. I even went back through my phone and found a picture from the 27th of June, 2019. When my Subaru WRX was getting tuned on a dynamometer, for those who aren't familiar, you put a car on a dyno to measure its horsepower and then optimize the engine tuning. Let us just say at that point, I had roughly $10,000 invested into that Subaru WRX. On the 27th of June 2019 EU, the ETF closed at $276 per S-hair. If I had taken that $10,000 and invested it into VU back then, my $10,000 would be worth $20,472 right now. Now, let's imagine I had decided to put it into Bitcoin, just for fun. On the 27th of June 2019, Bitcoin closed at around $11,000. If I had taken that $10,000 and put it into Bitcoin, I would have approximately $95,000 right now. The worst part is, after I did all of that to the Subaru, I eventually sold it with all the upgrades still on it. And if you know anything about cars, you know that when I sold it, I basically lost all of my money on those upgrades completely. But I still didn't learn my lesson. I got another raise, sold the Subaru, and then I bought a 2017 BMW 340i with the B58 engine, which is the super powerful motor I wanted. So not only did I lose money on the Subaru, but then I bought the BMW. I put a big turbo on it. I put air suspension on it. I probably put around $15,000 into that car. But let's just use that $10,000 figure again for simplicity. I have a picture of my BMW from the 24th of November, 2020. On that date, View closed at $328. If I had put $10,000 into it, then it would be worth about $16,777 today. Bitcoin at that time closed at $19,000. If I had invested that $10,000, I would have about $55,000 right now. The point I am trying to make is this, and to really top it off, when I sold the BMW, I also sold it with all the upgrades still on it. I lost all my money on those too. When I say I lost all my money, it means that when you sell a car with upgrades, you typically don't make your money back on those modifications. That $15,000 I put into the car, I never saw that money return. It never came back into my pocket because aftermarket upgrades often devalue your car in the long run. My whole point is I have messed up big time when it comes to lifestyle creep. Every single time I used to get a raise, I would buy a new car because that was my vice. I don't drink, I don't go out a lot. I just really love cars. So every time I got paid more, I bought a new car. I really had to learn my lesson because once I started getting into this whole investing thing, I realized, man, I really wasted a lot of investing potential back then. When I had the BMW, that was during the early days of the pandemic. If I had just stopped upgrading the BMW and started investing my money instead, I would have such an insane return right now. It would be unbelievable. I truly feel like I wasted a lot of time and a lot of potential financial freedom by doing that. My girlfriend and I always talk about it. You can always look back and say, I should have done this or I could have done that. So I try not to dwell on it too much. I don't let it depress me because it is one of those things where at the time, I was having fun. I enjoyed my time with the car. I was doing what I thought was right then. I didn't know much about investing. Now that I look back on it, I think, man, I could have invested all that money. I could have bought a simple, reliable car and invested those tens of thousands of dollars that I poured into those materialistic cars. And I would probably have a $200,000 investment portfolio right now, but I wasn't thinking that way at the time. And I can hold myself to that past mindset. So if you ever fall into lifestyle creep, please don't beat yourself up over it. Now, looking back on it, I think it was a great learning lesson. I know how to treat money now. I know what to put my money into, and again, it was just a learning experience. You have to learn from your mistakes and strive to be better in the future. So my whole point is, it is still something I struggle with occasionally. I still think about, oh, if I get a raise, maybe I can buy this car or that. But at the end of the day, you really don't want to keep inflating your lifestyle unchecked. The reason lifestyle creep is so dangerous is because it does feel like a bad decision at the time. Just like I told you with my cars, when I was upgrading them, I felt like I was doing the right thing. I didn't think it was a bad decision. I was looking at investments. I didn't know anything about investing, so I genuinely thought I was making good choices. You know, obviously I was buying a yacht, but I was slowly upgrading my car. I was slowly upgrading my lifestyle. Maybe you are buying a watch. Maybe you are getting some new technology, upgrading your PC. Maybe you are buying that $5 coffee instead of making it at home because you got a raise, or you were looking at a $500 couch and now you are going to buy a $2,000 couch, or you start adding more monthly subscriptions because you can afford it, or you start eating out more often. The problem is, over time, these small choices start to stack up. These expenses build upon each other to the point where you don't even realize it because it happens so organically, so naturally. And that is what truly costs you money in the long run. Over the years, the compound interest of short-term gratification really accumulates. So the next part I want to talk about is what I would do now, or rather, what I plan to do now to actively combat lifestyle creep. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am not telling you not to treat yourselves if you watched a previous video. I talked about how my girlfriend and I had a very expensive dinner for our anniversary. But again, it was a one-time thing. It was our anniversary. I felt it was perfectly okay. When I get promoted, I do want to buy myself a nice watch, but it will be one watch that I buy. My overall lifestyle changed dramatically because of it. I just want to reward myself for working hard. But again, I do it smartly. It will be within my budget. I've already started budgeting for it. So You just have to approach it smartly and not let things compound over time without you realizing it. When it comes to spending, you really want to spend with intention here, is how I personally fight lifestyle creep. Now, when I get a raise, the first thing I do is increase my investments. In my opinion, the easiest way to do this is with your 401k, for example. When I got my last raise, which was about 6 months ago, I was contributing 6% to my 401k. I got a 4% raise. The very first thing I did was take my 6% contribution and bump it up to 7% in my 401k. It is not a huge increase, but at least I am investing more. Now, that would be my first step. This is exactly what I plan to do if I get another promotion or raise from now on. Automatically increasing my investments is the very first thing I do before I buy anything else. Now, this next point might be a bit controversial, but if you can live as if you are living paycheck to paycheck, even if you are not, it will help you immensely in the long run because you almost automatically budget. I know a lot of people don't like strict budgets, but if you can live almost like you are quote unquote broke and you can save or invest that money, it will start to stack up incredibly fast. Next, I treat financial freedom like a flex. What I mean by that is when it comes to financial freedom, I feel like in my age group specifically, not a lot of people talk about it because many see it as something that only happens in your retirement years. But the thing is, if I can stay grounded and I can manage my money smartly for the next 10 years and achieve financial freedom in my mid-30s while everyone else is still trying to catch up and see it until they reach 60. At that point, I would definitely treat that as a flex. So that is what I plan to do. Next, something I've talked about a lot, and it is one of my favorite things to implement, is automatic contributions, automatic investments, whether that is to your Roth IRA or to your individual brokerage account, practicing dollar cost averaging, buying regularly without having to manually press any buttons. Just letting it do the work for you is one of the best things you can do, because as long as you have automatic contributions set up, you have no excuses not to invest that day, because it automatically does it for you. So I still enjoy my life. I just choose when and how I personally like to upgrade my life now. When it comes to the freedom trade-off, the truth is every dollar that you use to upgrade your life today is not going to work for you tomorrow. So that dollar you spend to upgrade your car, for example, is not going to appreciate or work for you tomorrow. Your car will actually depreciate tomorrow. If you are truly serious about financial independence, about early retirement, about having the freedom to travel, about peace of mind, about low stress, and doing whatever you want with your life, then every raise, every bonus, every extra dollar is a chance to buy time, not just more things. And again, I just want to reiterate this because I don't want to sound like a negative person or someone who is telling you not to treat yourself. If you have the money and you get a raise, and you are smart with your money, and you budget properly, and you actively avoid lifestyle creep, but you still want to reward yourself, whether that is a materialistic item or investing in yourself, by all means do it. You always want to pay yourself first. You don't want to be someone who never does anything fun because all they want to do is reach financial freedom. But you just need to be more cognizant about your choices, because I've struggled with lifestyle creep a lot. A lot of the time, it can also be influenced by the people around you. You know, when your friend gets a raise and they buy a new car, you might think, oh man, when I get a raise, I can wait to get a new car. My friend and I will both have new cars, but a lot of times it is just about blocking out that external noise and staying true to your own financial plan. That is why I've mentioned in other videos that when you start investing, you always need to have a clear plan and stick to that plan. Because if you have that plan and you stick to it, no matter how much of a raise I get, I know I can always fall back on my plan. So if I got a 100% raise tomorrow, I would still have my investment plan in place. I would incorporate that 100% raise into my investment plan. And then anything else I had left over, I could treat myself with, whether that is a nice dinner, a new watch, or whatever it might be. So lifestyle creep is normal. I am sure you've done it before. I have definitely done it before, especially with cars. And again, I still think about it all the time. I can beat myself up over it too much because I genuinely thought I was doing the right thing at the time. But man, I always think, imagine if I had taken that $10,000 I spent on a turbo kit and air suspension and put it into Bitcoin. Instead, I have $100,000 right now. I wouldn't even know what to do with that type of money, but if you can try to resist it, even if you can resist it just a little, it will set you apart financially, because I can guarantee you about 95% of the people I know fall into lifestyle creep.